Moving on, Rex says, is there any way to leverage competitor brand names for ranking our own lead gen or agency brands? One of our members talked about doing a like versus post or comparison posts. That way you can work your competitors' keywords names into content. I've never done any of that, so I don't really have any. The only time I've used competitor brand names is for Google Ads campaigns. You don't use the competitors' names in the ad, but you can target their names. And I've done that for quite a few clients. I've got a campaign running right now for a tree service contractor because he reached out to me and said, hey man, I got this one company that is just spending an ungodly amount of money on marketing in our local area, radio ads and cable TV ads and all kinds of stuff. And he said, and they are just dominating. And because of all the offline marketing that they're doing, they're getting a ton of branded search queries. And so when he told me that, I was like, well, shit, I'll set up a branded ad campaign and we'll poach some of their leads. And sure enough, I've been running that campaign for like 8 months now. And my cost per click is like $11 because it's a brand name that we're bidding on. And apparently because that brand is doing so much advertising offline, they're not bidding on their own brand name in AdWords or Google Ads. Because if they were, then they would always come up first in Google Ads for a brand search, because Google always does that. Like, in other words, if you're targeting brand names as your keywords, you can't put them in the ad name because you can get trademark, you get your ad rejected for trademark infringement and things like that. So you can't put the competitors' names in the ad, but you can bid on their names as if they were keywords, if that makes sense. But what happens is if that company is also advertising on their brand name, so bidding on their brand name as a keyword, then they will always have the highest quality score and they will always be ranked number one. But as long as if they're not bidding on it and you're bidding on it, then you can get above them in search in the ad section, right? They'll be in organic, but we can get above them for their brand name and kind of poach some of those leads away from them. And we pay like average CPC. I was just looking at the data today because I was in my ads account analyzing the roofing keywords for my roofing contractor. And I just happened to look at that campaign that's been running for months. And we have an average CPC like $11 and some change, which for tree service clicks, typically we run $50 to $60 per click. So you can see how a branded campaign is a great way to pull traffic away from competitors. As long as they're not bidding on their own brand names, you can do it, and you can get CPC values way lower than traditional keyword clicks, if that makes sense. So again, I don't do any of that for SEO purposes. Like, I've not really ever tried to target competitors' names for SEO purposes, except for using competitors' names in alt text of images. I've done that before. But again, I like to poach leads from competitors using branded ad campaigns, if that makes sense. Anyway, but you might want to try comparison posts, like, that might be a way to do it. I've just not actually tested that myself.